Good day everyone, I'm Angelica Sarandoni from Group 3 and we are assigned to report about the Lesson 3, Introduction to Practice Occupational Health and Safety Procedures. But before we proceed to our topic, let's first identify the difference of hazard and risk. Hazard and risk describes as two different but related topics. The difference may sound like unimportant field distinction, but this difference is critical to understanding the report of hazard and risk. When we say hazard is an agent that has a potential to harm people, while risk is the chance or probability that a person could get harmed by the hazards. For example, in drawing or in illustration laboratories, paint is one of the things that the illustrator uses, but breathing the paint for too long can cause headaches, dizziness, and nausea. In here, we consider the paint as the hazard, while the reason here is high because the illustrator is exposed to the paint's fume. Taking care of ourselves will increase our energy levels to accomplish daily tasks, and working in a safe workplace area could give us the ability to concentrate and to finish the job early. Hazard is everywhere, and no workplace is exempted. The best way to prevent or to protect yourself from this hazard is by identifying them and to do an action to prevent their potential to harm. Hazard identification or risk assessment is one of the processes used to evaluate an object or thing that may have a potential to cause harm. By identifying the hazards and giving awareness to it might save your life and also the life of the other people in your surroundings. There are different types of workplace hazards. It comes from the four main categories: physical hazard, ergonomic hazard, chemical hazard, and the last is biological hazard.
Hi, good morning everyone. I'm Edgar Francisco, and today I'm going to be discussing about control and evaluate hazards and risks in workplace. When we say physical hazard, it is a common type of hazard that can harm people even without touching them or even by noise. Because when we say physical hazard, this is the hazard that can harm human body. Like for example, radiation, including ionizing or non-ionizing microwaves and radio waves. And another example is high exposure to sunlight or ultraviolet rays, or extreme temperatures such as hot and cold, and constant loud noise. Another category of hazards is ergonomic hazards, which is the result of physical factors and injuries is one of the consequences. So when we say ergonomic hazard, it is a hazard that came from the environment workplace, and example of this are improperly adjusted workstations and chairs, or having poor posture, or using too much force, especially if it is done frequently, and vibration. And another category is chemical hazard, which comes from dangerous substances that can potentially harm people, such as acids, caustic substances, cleaning products such as toilet cleaners, disinfectants, or chlorine bleach, glue, heavy metals including mercury, lead, cadmium, and aluminum, paints and pesticides, and petroleum products. So the last category of hazard is biological hazard, or which is also known as biohazards, that refers to the possible threat to the human health body. So this includes bacteria, viruses, insects, animals, and other living microorganisms. In workplace, you also need to have contingency measures and procedures, because a contingency plan is a written description of the emergency plan that should be done to minimize the hazards from either fire, explosions, or any hazardous waste release. So evaluate and control hazards and risks. So, because it is important because being healthy and having to feel secured makes the person more productive in the job. So, to maintain this, we have to first, of course, eliminate the hazard, use PPE or the personal protective equipment. So, risk assessment. We need to assess the risk to help us prevent hazards because it measures the severity of the hazards to harm people. It is important in reducing the risk level inside the workplace area. Having to evaluate and control risks and hazards in the workplace will help us prevent it, and also um, the purpose of preventing it is of course for our own safety, and also having this healthy environment will help us be more productive and less stressed.
Good day everyone, I am Nika C. Ignacio from BSIE ICT 2A. I will talk about how are we going to deal with emergency scenario by responding to emergency related drill and exercises whether you are at work, school, or at home. First, I will introduce the emergency drill and exercises and what is the goal of observing and establishing it. An emergency is defined as an incident that is immediately threatening to life, health, property, or environment. Moving on to emergency management. So first, what is emergency management? Emergency management is the organization and management of the resources and responsibilities for dealing with all humanitarian aspects. The aim is to reduce the harmful effects of all hazards, including disasters. Safety starts at the top. Everyone agrees that a safe workplace is important, but it won't happen if you don't do all you can do to make your workplace safe as it can be. The primary responsibility for a safe workplace starts within you. Now we will proceed in observe established procedure and spotting to emergency related drill specified in illustration laboratory. First is the responsibility for safety in the illustration laboratory. In classroom setting, faculty can be described as the teacher, facilitator, or the superior. They are responsible for ensuring that students attend training and work safely and ensure artists understand the potential health, physical hazards of the chemicals and equipment used. Here I will show an infographic that shows procedures in responding to emergency-related specified in illustration laboratory pertaining to how you select your art materials, which is in line to chemical hazards, and how you handle the art materials relates to ergonomic hazards. Mostly in painting, we use water-based paints. Water-based paints include watercolor, acrylic, gouache, tempera, and casein. The hazards is that the acrylic paints contain a small amount of ammonia. Some sensitive people may experience eye, nose, and throat irritation from the ammonia. Art material that contains chemical. We should consider the chemical safety basics first. First is that read the label before you buy it. Be sure you understand what you are working with and the associated hazards, since some products are not advisable to be used by individual and can only be used by professionals since they have more knowledge about it. Second is that when transferring thinners and the other chemicals from the original stock container to a new container, do not use drink container or any random container that you can get in your workplace. So, these are the things you need to do when you're going to use a art material that contains chemical. First is wear proper PPE. Wear gloves, goggles, and protective apron when handling art material containing chemicals in case of unforeseen scenario. Since some ingredients of the art materials can lead you to experience eye, nose, or throat irritation, opening a window is usually sufficient, and if not, try a window exhaust fan because it helps to manage lab emissions, potential exposures, and chemical and biological dangers. And in case of allergic reaction, immediately use eye wash fountain to rinse and to avoid possible skin infection.
Good day everyone, my name is Marian Lego and I'm going to discuss the OHS personal records in accordance with workplace requirements. It is all about keeping the records that helps and maintain an effective workplace health and safety management system. Records can help the hazards and control risks before there is an incident which could cause injury or illness. By keeping records of the activities within the workplace makes managing health and safety easier. All the records relating to health and safety in the workplace must be retained by the organization. It is also important to conduct observations to ensure all incidents, illness, and injury and near misses are recorded.